Hey, it's Matty G, back again to bring you some beats.
Hey, Matt Greer. Welcome back to the Matt Greer Music Channel. So today I wanted to do a little bit of a gear demonstration and review, and we're going to be talking about this guy. This is the Liven XFM. Essentially what this is an FM synthesizer tied to a 4-track Groovebox, and it's actually pretty cool. I think these came out about 10, 11 months ago, maybe a year. Very inexpensive for what you get, and I've had it for a few days here in the studio, and I thought it would be a lot of fun to just kind of give you my first impressions, show you some of the things I like about it, maybe talk about some of the things I don't, and you know, if you're considering this video might help you decide if it's right for you. So if that sounds interesting, stick around. Okay, so quick overview, I guess, of the front panel here. Not a tutorial. I'll leave a link to an excellent tutorial in the description, but just give you kind of a quick lay of the land here. This section up here, you can see these rows with these 4 knobs. Those control the 4 different, I don't want to call them synth engines because they're not really synth engines. They're more like engines for using the synth patches that are in the device, and they can use presets that are already in there, or synths that you created yourself, or patches I should say that you created yourself, which we'll get into that in a minute. But up there is basically where you can control the type of sound that you're using. So right now I'm using a patch that I created. To push the start and stop it so that tail drops off, but you can go in here. Let's see, I'm going to hit function synth and go into, let's go into library, and I'll just show you real quick. There's a bunch of let me go into some different. A lot of cool sounds in there. Let me turn down that reverb so you can get more of a sense of the raw sound of the synth there. Anyway, you've got 4 tracks for the Groovebox here. I'm on track 1. That's the patch that I'm on right now. I can go to track 2. Oh, whoops, got it muted. Kind of a string sort of thing there. Let me unmute these and go to this one. Kind of an organ type sound, and then kind of an electric piano. Maybe with a little bit of organness to it as well. Definitely some vibrato there. And I can program each 4 of those tracks to the sequencer here. So I'll show you, let's see, let's mute that one, mute that one, mute that one. Let's play just what's programmed to this track. So yeah, you can see that it works great. I actually really do like the sequencer. So some more information about the sequencer. You can, it starts at a default as 1 bar with 16 steps. You can expand that up to 4 bars. However, once you've done that, if you want to, you can half-time that. So I'll show you real quick. I'm going to hit function length. You can see right now that this track is set to 64 beats, which is 4 bars. I can reduce that. I can have it play any number of beats between 1 and 64. So yeah, let's just reduce it to 2 real quick. So you can see there, you can get some really interesting polyrhythms and all kinds of things going really quite easily. So that's what length does. You can also change the note on a particular track as tied to the pattern. So I'm going to hit function note. Right now it's on 16th notes, which is your default again. I can mess with that down into quarter triplets. I can get down into eighths, which is essentially half. So let's hear that. If you're wondering, you can tie those changes to the sequencer, so you can parameter lock a note change. So that might be useful if you have a hi-hat going and you want to get that, you know, that trap kind of triplet roll on a hi-hat or a snare or something. You can do that by choosing a step and changing the note length as tied to it, sort of like a retrig on an Electron device. So since I just mentioned Electron, let's talk about that a little bit. Clearly there are some design cues from Electron, in particular the older Rhythm Octatrack Analog 4, these round buttons with the LEDs tied to them. That's, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that didn't look like an Electron design cue. That being said, there are things that are done just a little bit different from Electron that if you're coming from Electron, you might find a little frustrating. I know that I did. So talking about the different tracks, they all default to a single bar. And if I'm on track 1 and I decide to extend that to 4 bars, in the Electron world, it's going to like assume that you want to do that to all the tracks unless you change them. On this one, you're going to have to go each track and choose to make it 4 bars again, or half that length, or whatever you wanted to do. So don't make assumptions that just because you do something to one track, it's going to be paralleled to the others. That's something that I had to get my head around in particular. But yeah, the sequencer is really, really powerful. I'll show you one other function about it here that I find is pretty neat, and that's the stutter button. If I hit function stutter, you can see it's turned off for right now. Now it's back on. Really fun for live performances if you want to do that. So yeah, again, sequencer is pretty awesome, but it does have a learning curve, and it's a little bit steep, so definitely take your time. Don't write it off if it's frustrating. I know it was for me, and I'm a guy who has a fair bit of experience with things like this, so be patient. It will pay off for you. I think that's all I really want to say about the sequencer right now. Again, it's not a full tutorial. I'm just kind of giving you my quick impressions and thoughts after having this for a little while. Also, I'm not trying to make this an hour-long video. So with that, let's talk about the synth engine itself, which to me is actually maybe, I don't know if it's more exciting, but it's as equally as interesting as the sequencer and Groovebox portions of this thing. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit function, and this little key, which I don't even know if you can see in this light, but it says edit under here. It takes me into this screen, which then allows me to choose, let me see if I can figure out, oh, I got to find my bank. I use these cursors to find banks. See, I'm already getting confused. And then I'm going to figure out where in this bank I want to create this sound. We're at TP04. I don't know what the TP is, but that I know that's a blank one, so I'm going to hit OK. Bam, now it says edit at the top. Now I am in synth edit mode. It completely changes everything about the interface of this. So that's why they give you this little card to lay over the top. All of the functions from Groovebox mode have completely changed. Now it's something else. So we need this overlay to tell us what we're doing. On the overlay real quick, it is vinyl, like it's like a substantial piece of plastic. It's not cardboard, it's not paper. So I think it's built to last. Let's hope, because I'll be pretty lost if I don't have this, or I lose it, or I tear it up or something. So hopefully it'll stick around for a while, because it's pretty vital. And I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to need this overlay to really make use of a whole 50% of this musical device. But that being said, and demonstrates how deep the synth is on this. Now, even though I know I'm on a brand new patch, I'm just going to hit this button anyway. That's initialize. And what I get right off the bat is a single operator playing only a sine. And man, it is a pure freaking sine. And man, you want sub bass? If you're not listening to on headphones or good speakers, you probably can't even hear that. But yeah, it's got a low range for sure. It just kind of default sounds sort of like a sine organ, like an old Casio or something. You've got 4 different operators to work with. Something I want to call out that's very interesting about this FM synth is these operators are not tied to algorithms. So you might have seen algorithm images where it's got like operator 1 and it shows like an arrow between it to other operators, and then you turn a knob and it changes to where there's 2 operators going to 2 or 3 to 1 or various combinations. These are all kind of in free form to each other. So I can send operator 1 to itself and all the others, or only to itself, or to only operator 4, and then operator 4 can feed back into only operator 2. I don't know how many combinations there are, but I'm sure those of you who can calculate better math than I will find that it's quite a few. And then on top of that, you have all the variability that you can do to every operator itself. So yeah, just on paper, the synth engine is extremely deep. Now, I'm going to go in and first just turn up the volume for each operator so we can hear that they're going to interchange with each other. And those volume controls are here. So right now it'll just get louder. Hopefully I'm not hurting ears out there, but that turned up the volume on all of these operators. Now these are, with this button chosen, it's the top settings on these knobs, and it's ratio / frequency and fine for the tune, and you've got 2 knobs for each operators. The 2 knobs do the same thing on each operators, but I'm just going to kind of show you what they do to interact with each other. So just that, we're already adding a lot of harmonics to the synth, and that's just the start of what you can do. That's the very basic of getting the 4 operators to do something. Down here is the operator mixer level. So if I'm on operator 1 and I've chosen 1 here, this knob is going to choose how much that operator 1 feeds back into itself. So check this out. That goes into square. That goes into saw. And you can go all the way into noise. So I'm going to turn that there, and this is your fine tune. I'm going to take that down to... So you can get some of that noise in, but not full out, just, which is For percussive stuff, that's probably what you want. So that's just operator 1 feeding on itself. So again, already getting a very, way more complex sound than a sine wave. Now I'm going to choose 2. And now what I'm doing is deciding how much operator 2 is going to go into 1. Could do it to 4. Again, I'm kind of just rushing through this and not trying to make really pretty sounds, but just to show you kind of conversely how these things interact, I can choose operator 3 as the one I'm editing. I'm going to choose operator 2. A lot you can do. So you can get all those set, and then you can go back to each operator and again adjust the levels. And start continuing to evolve that sound. There is an ADSR, which is your envelope, attack, decay, sustain, release. You choose that one to get into the time of those. This button will give me the level of each of those parameters. This gives me the time, which the time is more what you're generally accustomed to in terms of an envelope. And again, you can do this to all 4 operators. So that I just put a really slow attack on operator 1. I'm going to put a slow attack on operator 2. Again, I'm just kind of phoning this in. But you can see you can mess with these parameters on all 4. Let's give some tail to them. That's the release. Tons going on. Tons going on here. You've also got levels, detune, velocity sensitivity, and again, ratio and frequency for each of your 4 operators down here as well if you want to continue to dive in. You change your octaves with this. It's a weird sound, kind of a haunting sort of sound. I'll show you voice mode real quick. You've got mono, legato, poly. On the sequencer version, you've got an arpeggiator as well, which is neat. But so let me put this into mono. Do legato. So yeah, this is again really quick overview. I could sit here and tweak parameters and dial in this sound for hours probably, because there's just you know, times 4 operators. You've got, I don't know, like 30 different ways each one can interact with itself and each other. Like it's wild, man. And I think they did a pretty good job of taking a lot of different things and boiling it down into an interface that's at least somewhat approachable. You know, I think some study is still needed to understand FM synthesis to really get the most out of it. But you can still sit there and tweak and find a sound that you like without, you know, being like full scientist mode. But it's not as easy as something like this. You know, this is the Volca FM. It's certainly deeper than that. And I also brought this out just so you could kind of see a size comparison. But yeah, I like it. And what I like about it is that I can either use this mode or not. There's enough sounds in there where I can just treat this thing like a Groovebox and just mess with the sequencer. I could do that for hours. Get a rhythm going and just tweak and tweak and tweak. And that really suits me, but this takes that to another level. So let's say I've dialed in my sound. I'm happy with it. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to choose where I want it to go. Yeah, we'll go there. I'm going to hit OK again. I can change the name of this. I'm just going to leave it what it is because you know, if I scroll through that, I can change each of these letters, give it my own name. But I don't really care. I'm going to save this over probably again later sometime, so I'm just going to hit OK. It says done. Bam. I am now back in sequencer mode. You can see it defaulted back to the last patch that I had saved to this pattern. So, yeah. I think this is a really cool little studio device. There's quite a lot to like about it. A few things that I don't, like I've kind of already mentioned, learning curve is pretty steep. It's also pretty plasticky. This top panel's plastic. There's like this kind of spongy stuff under the speaker here. I could care less about an external speaker. I would rather they put multiple outputs or another something to mess with instead of a speaker. But small thing. I mean, got a headphone jack right there, so not really a big deal. I can work with it. But yeah, you probably can't see that here, but there's like these kind of divots in the corner, and you can tell that's where the screws came in from underneath and cinched the top part down to the synth. But again, you consider the price, and this thing being more or less in Volca range, and what you get by comparison, pretty incredible. Plus, you might be able to find one secondhand, save yourself a little bit of money. They're not very old, so you could probably buy one in confidence that it works fine. So yeah, that's about it for my overview. Let me know if you have questions. I will do other demonstrations on this device in the future. Yeah, that's the Liven XFM. All right, so final verdict, or wordict, as our friend Florian says. Don't shoot me, Florian. I love the channel. Just poking fun with you. Yeah, so I think it offers a heck of a lot in a small, portable, compact package. There's quite a deep synthesizer engine under the hood here, especially when you put it into that edit mode and start to really take a deep dive into all the parameters of the FM synth. The FM synth itself is kind of unique in the way the four operators can interact with each other. They're not tied to algorithms like we discussed, so that's kind of pretty cool. It's got a lot going for it. The character is pretty raw, pretty gritty, maybe sometimes a bit unruly, not the smoothest thing you're gonna find, sort of lo-fi, and the effects are kind of lo-fi as well. So no, this is not going to be the most polished FM synth you ever played. It's not going to be cold and icy. It's not going to have that smooth, buttery sound that like the Digatone has. It's its own thing, but that's kind of a good thing, right? We don't want them all to sound the same. The build, it's plasticky, not gonna lie. There's the little divots on the cover from where the screws pulled it together. But again, you got to consider the price. And the same goes for only having a stereo output or the headphone out. It'd be nice if you could split tracks between those two, so you could send one through one output and the other through the other, so you could send them send effects. Maybe they might do that in the future. I have no idea. I have no inside track on this company, but it would be a nice to have. And yeah, we got to talk about the sequencer too. The sequencer is crazy powerful for what it is. I mean, there's a lot of parameter locking, retrigs. You can mess with the length of each track in the sequencer. You can mess with the time signature. You can add swing to one track or all. It's really, really powerful. The interface to use it, though, is a little hard to get your head around. If you watch me, you know I have experience with a lot of different kind of little groove boxes like this. This one took me a minute. So tutorials definitely recommended. Chris Lodi's channel, which I've mentioned before, has an excellent tutorial. I studied that thing, and it really helped me get started with this. So yeah, steep learning curve, which is a shame because where it's priced at, it'd be great for beginners, but its ease of use is maybe not so beginner friendly. Other than that, yeah, I think it's a great synth. I think that any studio would benefit from having it. It certainly offers its own unique touch to things, its own unique sound, its own unique workflow, and ultimately you put all that together, you're going to end up with something that promotes creativity. So yeah, that's my review on the Liven XFM by Sonicware. thank you all for watching. Have a good day. Bye.